Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. Today, I'm so excited. We get to talk about creating another income stream for you that we've never actually talked about on the show before. And my friends, Chelsey and Diaz, they are just like brilliant. I'm not exaggerating. Like as I'm interviewing them, I'm looking at their wall of 2 comma club awards, and I'm like, oh, that's a $10 million award. That's another $10 million award. Like they have made it rain essentially in their business. They're very successful. They know what they're doing. They have such a great story and such great hearts. Like these people, they're my people, and I'm really excited to bring them to you to talk about how to create an actual business off of Amazon, how to create something that's going to create more leverage for you, their story around how they did this. So they're all about helping moms create freedom and generational wealth and leave a legacy. And they have what they call the Rainmaker method, which is a 4-step process to help any family go from zero ideas to launching a 7-figure e-commerce brand online. Let's dive into the episode.
Hello.
What's up, Rachel?
It's so good to be here. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Yes, me too. So let's dive in. Tell us a little bit about you guys and what you do.
Sure. Yeah, we are Steve and Chelsey, also known as the Rainmaker Family, and we're on a mission to help moms create time freedom, financial abundance, and leave a thriving family legacy. Now, if you're listening and you're not a mom, that's okay. We just have really found that we need leverage in our lives as parents. And so we really try to design all our businesses around that concept. Like, how can we have more time freedom? How can we, really move the needle in business, but not have it take over our life? And so that's what we do. We really specialize in e-commerce, so helping people launch brands, physical products, but doing it in a way that's a little bit less traditional. Maybe not what you're thinking of in your head when you think of e-commerce. So that's us in a nutshell.
Yeah. How'd you guys get started with that? What's the journey like?
Yeah, so the story and the journey really started in this tiny 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, little back unit that we lived in when we were first married. And there was this kind of like janky old spiral staircase that would go on up into this loft that Stephen would have to duck in to even enter. And inside of that loft was our very first office space as a young married couple. And we were in the wedding industry. We were photographers, and we would call it our winter season. So heading into the winter months, I would always feel like the weight of the world on my shoulders. And it was like, are we going to have enough money to survive these winter months? We're going to have to say yes to every single inquiry that came our way. And really in that last year, we were close to burnout. We had shot 43 weddings. I think we shot like 8 weddings in May, and our friends stopped calling us. And I just really feel like we were overworked and overextended, and really looking at how can we create more leverage in our life? How can we create alternative revenue streams? Because the dream was to start our own family eventually. And we just knew like the lifestyle that we were living currently was not going to sustain like healthy family values that we also really cared about.
Yeah. So we kind of from there, like we hit this burnout moment. We went on what we now call the spaghetti years, which is when you're throwing stuff against the wall, you're like just seeing what's going to stick. So we're running the wedding business. It's taking a lot of time, but kind of like in the off hours of the night, I'd be kind of dinking around on the laptop, just finding watching every webinar, like trying every side hustle. And we kind of prided ourselves in that, like a serial entrepreneur. We had a lot of stuff going. But looking back on it, it honestly all just added more to our plate. It was like more things to manage, more sucking of our time. And the most frustrating part was that everything kind of worked. It wasn't like, it's not like one thing really took off or anything just like totally failed. It was all that it just like trickled. But it really, when we were looking at our lives, we were still stressed, overwhelmed, overextended. And so really in that season, I think it was at a conference, I heard someone talk about this concept of leveling up, and leveling up from the person who is doing all the things, like you're using your hands to do your job, baking the cake, taking the photos, writing the blog post, and leveling up to the person who manages people who do the thing. And just this concept of like having more leverage, that's where it really started clicking for me, because I think we were on this journey of like, chasing the mythical beast of passive income, right?
Mhm.
Which is a thing, but like what we've really shifted to is like, how can we have more leverage and seek leveraged income? And by leverage, we mean like when you put in an hour, it's like you put in 100, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of that for us was learning to just level up. So it started in our photo business. It started with just hiring someone to edit, hiring someone to create the client card. But ultimately led us to really analyzing kind of, okay, what vehicle are we in? And is there unlimited upside potential here with leverage? And for us, weddings, in that season, we actually, we call this the trimming season as well, because after the spaghetti years, after we kind of had clarity on like, we need leverage, we started just looking at all the stuff we're doing. Like, okay, we got the wedding business, we got the photo booth business, we got this like other thing and this other thing. Like we had a bunch of other stuff. And when we kind of filtered them through that leverage compass, none of them really like were like the thing, But we did have this little toy we were selling. It was this little wooden toy, and we were selling it mostly off Instagram at the time. And this is what when I talk about traditional e-commerce, this is kind of what I was envisioning, which is what we were doing, which is like packing and shipping boxes. Like when an order would come in off Instagram, we'd pack it, we'd ship it. And in that season, we learned about this program that Amazon has called FBA. Some of your listeners may have heard of Amazon FBA, but it stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. And it basically means that you can leverage Amazon's stuff. You can leverage their warehouses. You can leverage their employees. And so we are selling this little wooden toy. And so when we had this leverage mindset, we were like, okay, let's it's going to cost us a little bit in fees, but let's send some inventory to Amazon and see what happens. And it was in that season, I believe this is just miraculous timing. Do you remember the fidget spinner era?
Yeah, because I have a son, he's 10. So yes,
so
we probably still have some around.
Yeah. You couldn't have I feel like gone through 2017 without like experiencing fidget spinners in your life.
Yeah.
And so our toy was not a fidget spinner, but it was kind of a fidgety toy. And so just like traffic up for that search term went way up. And we started selling like $600 a day in this little toy. And the crazy part was we weren't shipping a single box. Amazon was packing and shipping. And if there were returns, Amazon was dealing with it. And that's where it was like, oh, whoa, like something clicked.
Yeah. And I'll never forget, Rachel, like we were at a wedding again in that hustle season. And as you can see, like how Stephen and I divide and conquer in our businesses, Stephen is very much the nerd in the relationship. We always say he's numbers, he's geeking out. He discovered Amazon while I was running the wedding business. And it took a little bit longer for me to understand like the power of Amazon. But we were at a wedding, and as any wedding professional does, like there comes a time where it's time to eat dinner and you grab your plate and then you go rush off into a corner hoping that nobody is watching you like stuff your face full of food because you're so hungry from all the steps you've put in. And I just remember like turning to Steve and we're like, let's just check our Amazon account. Let's just check the app and see like how much money did we make today? And we would do that from time to time. And I'll never forget, like on that day, we pulled up our Amazon app and we made more money in our Amazon business than we were at the wedding. And it was like this moment, this light bulb moment, that weight that I had been feeling year after year, feeling like I was just going to run myself ragged and saying yes to every client. It was finally like the leverage and the yes that we had been looking for. And I was like, I'm sold. I am sold on Amazon. How can we launch more products? How can we make this vehicle work for our family?
And it's worked pretty good for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had to figure it out for sure, because that was really like miraculous timing, that random toy. And so we had to kind of reverse engineer it and be like, okay, why did that work? Right. Yes. And it really had to do with the traffic thing. Like there were so many people searching for fidget spinners. So we were like, okay, how can we figure out what people are searching for? And I know your audience, they know SEO and Pinterest and a lot of it.
Like you're speaking my language right now. So I'm like,
It's like figure out where the flow of people is. And like, I think looking back, I'm like, okay, now I feel like I have the wisdom to be like, okay, don't just try to invent some new thing. Try to find where the flow of traffic already is going and then just put something really good in front of them. So now what we do on Amazon is we basically like, imagine Amazon's the world's largest grocery store. It actually probably is, right? Over 50% of all online sales happen on Amazon, which is just like mind blowing. Like 18
That's
sales.
where I shop. My husband's like, why do we have so many boxes? And I'm like, because I don't go to the store. I don't leave the house.
We had a friend the other day over. He's like, I've never seen an Amazon driver come up with like a sack like full of packages,
Awesome.
like Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
So we are definitely supporters of Amazon, you know, purchasers, but also we like to make more money on Amazon than we spend. That's a good goal. But yeah, we like imagine Amazon, the world's biggest grocery store, and in the grocery store there's aisles. Okay, so the aisles are what people are searching on Amazon. You don't go to Amazon and just be like, I'm here to hang out, unless it's like Black Friday and you're just feeling like in a buying mood, which I've done. But most people go there with a really specific term they're searching for, and they go search it, and that's an aisle. And so we actually figured out how to find what aisles have a lot of traffic, a lot of people going down them, but not great products on the shelf. So if you see like 10,000 people a month going down this aisle, but it's just not great. There's a bunch of 3-star, 4-star products, and you can just look at the reviews, figure out what people want, and then get that product made by a manufacturer. You basically are managing the manufacturer to make it. You're sending it to Amazon. Amazon's shipping it, distributing it to your customers, and you're getting paid just to connect the dots and look at the data. And so that's the system. We call it the Rainmaker method that we've developed. And now hundreds of products. We've helped so many families launch products and step into this thing. But it was definitely a journey to get there.
So how do you find a manufacturer, and what are some of the things that you've created and seen your clients create?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll take this one because I'm definitely more, I love that side of things. Chelsey, I feel like where she is so excellent is making our products actually look good. You know, so she's like customer service visual. I'm the nerd. I like the data. So once we find an opportunity on Amazon, we find that aisle. There's a lot of people searching it. We have the software that shows us some of those numbers. Then when we qualify it with a couple other things, just based on products we've launched that have worked well versus products we have launched that have not worked well, we have like a checklist we take the products through. So it has to be over $15 typically, because Amazon does take a fee. And so if it's under 10, it just gets too tight. Over $15, after fees, we like to look for 30 to 50% margins on the products. That means after all the fees and overhead and all that stuff, you're still making great money on the business, great return on your money. So once you're checking the boxes, then you go to a manufacturer. There's like so many ways to find manufacturers. We've even had rainmakers find local manufacturers for their stuff. Like they find someone in the town that can print the thing or make the thing. And so I think the big misconception with manufacturing is that like, I think when I was, how we got into Amazon and like even just thinking about e-commerce, I guess we should rewind, is we were doing weddings, but we also on the side, remember we were just doing a million businesses. We had a business where we would do like photo and video for Kickstarter projects. So people like launching products on Kickstarter. And we were always like, how do these people make products, right? Like, how do they come up with this thing, you know? And I just had this picture of like, oh, I have to get like a patent and like a design. I have to like fly to China, you know? And like, I just had this big complex thought in our head. And I think it was the year before we launched our own product, we just kind of had it as a goal. We're like, we're going to figure out how to make a thing, like make a product. And it was actually way easier than I thought. There's sites like Alibaba, which can connect you with manufacturers all over the world. That's a big one our students use. There's also companies called sourcing companies. You can just go to the company, tell them your idea, and they'll help you find a manufacturer all over the world, like depending on what US, Mexico, you know, India, China. There's a lot of places, but you kind of want to go to where the product is made best and it's made most affordably and ethically. So it sounds.
So you could literally like connect Alibaba and Amazon, and that's like.
I mean, I make it sound like that, but you are the middle person, and we are creating our own brand, right? We don't want the manufacturer to just directly ship because they'll just cut you out of the picture. So what we do is we find the manufacturer like, hey, here's the product we want to make. Here's the improvements and tweaks we want to make to it based on what we saw on Amazon they want. And here's our brand name. And so we actually make our own brand. And the value of that is you own the product. Like you own the brand and you can sell the company at some point. You're not just connecting the dots. but we are kind of like connecting manufacturers who aren't really tapped into the technology of Amazon and basically being the middleman where we create a brand, they ship it to Amazon, and we're just managing the pieces.
Cool. All right. Tell us about some products you guys and your students have made.
Oh man, so I mean that first product was a toy, is a kendama product, which is a like Japanese yo-yo, super random. And so we were kind of in the wood niche, and so it was like when you make wood stuff, it's like okay, wood's kind of easy, you don't have to get molds, plastic molds, all these things. So we just started making a bunch of wood products. This was like 2018. Letter boards were really hot back then. You remember letter boards, like the felt boards with the little letters? So we made a board called the Letter Chalk, which is a letterboard chalkboard combo. And that was like our second product that really started hitting. So we just really leaned into the wood thing. But I mean, you name it, and we've probably had a mom in our community launch that product. Of course, a lot of kid products. We have inflatable products. We got plastic products. We got accessories. I would say like probably the most common thing is an accessory to a hobby that they're into. So even for your listeners, like your husband's really into this thing, you're really into a thing. When you get into that thing, what is the first thing you go buy? Like those accessories, we see a lot of really big wins with those type of products on Amazon.
You're making me think of just like, because my husband's an equestrian and like all the stuff in America is really, really expensive, like overpriced. So when we were in France, my husband's like, all right, you have to go to this like sporting goods store and pick up this, and this. So I'm like, could we connect the dots there?
Maybe.
You got the wheels turning a little bit.
Yes.
I have seen some random horse products, not in our community, but when I've been doing research, and like, if you don't know about the niche, it's like, wow, this is so random, right?
Yeah.
But if you know about the niche and you search it and then you look at the software, it's like when you see how much volume is out there for like, chinchilla cage, it's like so random, but like it's like 10,000 people a month searching for it, right? It just blows your mind on the size of Amazon.
Yeah. Can you give us some examples of the search volume that we're going to look at so we can see what people are searching for?
Yeah. I mean, I have the software here. I mean, we can basically run any idea in there. Is there anything like, I mean, what's something you bought recently off Amazon?
Everything. I buy a lot of books, or supplements. Like
Supplements,
yeah.
Supplements are super, super kind of competitive on Amazon.
Yeah.
I don't recommend them, but just to share with you, like what's
or like water bottles. Like
okay.
I go through so many water bottles. I'm like, what happens to all these?
We do water bottle with straw.
Me, like again, like I mentioned, Steven loves geeking out on the numbers, the detail, and I kind of come in and say, okay, this has proven demand, so that when we go and invest our money, I know like all businesses risk, but because of the software and the checklist that we have kind of gone over as far as do's and don'ts, and Steven listed some of those, like it gives me faith to know like, oh, I know that this is going to sell, or I know that we can sell out of our inventory and keep things moving and going because of the data backing it behind, which I think is so important as business owners, because when you take an investment out, when you're going to do something new, like whatever it is, there's always some like, I think there's fear walls that everybody experience when you're doing something new. Like, is this going to work? I've tried this before. Like, what are my friends and family going to think? Like all of those things, and having data to back things up is so important. And that gave me faith in the very beginning too, to be like, yeah, sure, we can invest this money, this hard earned money, this wedding, saying yes to another client to get this. So I think that's really important. Especially now with product-based businesses, I think sometimes a lot of like, oh, I hope this works out, or this is a really great invention. Like we're not suggesting having an invention or coming up with something like it's going off of the data and then demand, which is key.
Yeah. Okay. I got a couple of those up for you, Rachel. So water bottle with straw, again, it probably wouldn't fit our qualifiers because it's kind of competitive. So there's certain, here's the thing. You can be successful with any product on Amazon with enough money, right? Because when you're selling a really competitive product, you need to have enough in stock to really meet that demand. And so some of these water bottle companies are selling hundreds of thousands of units a month, which is just mind blowing. So if you're going to order 3 months supply or something like that, it would just be crazy. But the top water bottles right now on Amazon are all doing 6 figures a month in sales, if not millions in sales. Like there's one, I mean, the Stanley, of course, on Amazon is doing $3.6 million a month in just like one version of their cup, which is like, again, that's a crazy niche. But I threw in horse blanket. I just typed in horse And then the next thing that like, auto populates it, blanket was one of them. Horse blanket, that one's being searched 17,000 times a month. Okay.
Okay.
And that's just one variation of the keyword. There's probably blanket for horses and horse blanket, plaid, or something like that, right? There's all the variations. That one's being searched 17,000 times a month. The average seller on that front page, if you're on the front page for that keyword, is doing about $10,000 a month in sales.
Right.
Pretty wild. So sometimes it's like that's the types of products we go after, is more of those niche products where it's not crazy competition. It doesn't take a huge capital investment to get into, but they can generate 5 to 10 to 15K a month in sales.
What's a good search volume to look for?
We love stuff in the like I would say minimum you want probably 4,000 a month, and maximum it really is budget. So we recommend a lot of our students land between 4,000 and probably 50,000 searches a month. But again, if you're coming in with more capital, you can go for higher search term things. But really, it's about being able to make a product that is so it's like Google, right? Google. So how do you get to the front page of Google, right? Like a lot of different ways. But one of the ways is definitely showing that like when people search that term, your thing is really relevant, right? Same thing on Amazon. We want to have a really good product that meets the demand. So that's where one of the qualifiers we're looking for is like high search volume, but like not great products. So it's like kind of easy to win. So when you come up with a 5-star product and people start seeing it, Amazon's going to jump it to the top because it's like, wow, when people search this, they're buying this, they're getting great reviews. And that's how we stick on the front page. And then imagine you're having 17,000 people walk by your product every month for free, just being on Amazon.
Amazing. What about clothes? So like we have the problem of being tall, or like quality problem. So it's like tall pants or like stuff like that. Would that work well? Because that's niche.
Yeah, I would say niche. Yeah, so you want like those long tail keywords.
Yeah.
Clothes
Tall
is
pants for women, tall jeans
I
for
mean,
women.
Chelsey, you should speak to the fashion side of Amazon because, like, did you buy clothes on Amazon 5 years ago?
No.
Do you buy clothes on Amazon now?
Yes, I do.
So Amazon has done a heavy push for fashion and clothes. They're a little trickier because you got to order so many. Like, imagine if you're ordering in bulk and you want to order like small, medium, large, XL, right? Like, you have to have a lot of different sizes. So I would look for like clothing accessories or like really specific terms or things that are like one size fits all.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we do have a couple Rainmakers selling clothes, like kids clothes, toddler clothes, or even like accessories to clothes.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like we could be here for like the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like it's so good.
Ideas.
But I know like we're gonna partner up and do a challenge together, and you're gonna go through a ton of the details in that. Can you talk about the challenge?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we can only, hit so much on a podcast, but for anyone who's interested, we do have our flagship program. We call it the Rainmaker Challenge. It's a 7-day experience to really teach you a lot of the stuff in depth. So we answer a bunch of questions about Amazon, how it works. I know there's a bunch of misconceptions about Amazon, and like, so we dig into that and make sure people are like, okay, this is a good vehicle for my family. It's going to fit what I want to do. We talk about product research for like 2 days. Really help people try to find the product. 99% of the people we work with have no product ideas. So if you're starting there, that's great. The 1% have product ideas, but we have to like tell them it's not a good idea after we show them like the qualifiers. But once you learn the qualifiers and you learn the software, then you could just go to town and just start running ideas and finding stuff. And then I think day 4 of the challenge, we talk about sourcing. So we even give you the scripts to talk with manufacturers, and we'll have people even starting to source samples and things like that by the end of the challenge. And the last handful of days, we kind of lay out a roadmap to scale the business to 6 figures. And we talk about finances and just like how to use leverage even in your finances to do this business.
Amazing. When is it?
We have one coming up in January. We have one coming up in January that we're going to do. So we'll get you all the details, put a link in the show notes for you. Yep. That'd be awesome.
Yep. So it'll be rachelandgom.com/Rainmaker, and we'll put that in the description so you can go sign up, because I think this is such a cool way. I love talking about different income streams. And so this is one that we've never had on the show before, and you guys are doing it such a different and unique way, and you've made it so successful, and you've helped so many of your students make it successful. So I'm like, it's a no-brainer. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excited to have your people. Yeah. I know like I feel like Amazon plus what you've already taught, like, and the things I know they're into, it's only going to be a multiplier because it's funny, like a lot of our people right now, we start on Amazon, but then they're like, how do I drive traffic off Amazon? And guess where they look? Pinterest, right? So
Perfect.
Pinterest is one of the number one places people search for physical products, like for ideas, right? They go to Pinterest for ideas, and you can, use your Pinterest skills to do research for Amazon. Like that is a game changer.
Yeah. And I even love like the challenge. I would encourage anybody who there might be some spark of interest in learning this process, because even if you go through it and you're like, well, I don't want to launch first on Amazon, I want to use it in other ways. We've had students, like I'm thinking of someone right now, she went through our challenge and she had these really cool dreads that she created, and every time she would post on social media about them, she'd get hundreds of messages over time about, where do you get those? How do you, I want one. Can I get one from you? And she took the information from our 7-day family freedom challenge and she applied that and started a business selling these faux dreads to people who were already asking. And I think in the first day that she listed it, just from creating an audience, she sold out right away. Yeah. She's done several different batches, but she based it and took the information that we taught.
Just like day 4 of the challenge, basically.
And just sourced it. Yeah. Or we've had different people who are already mom and pop shops that already have products that might want to list them on Amazon using the data, or there's just all kinds of things. You can really take this information and run with it and create businesses just on the information alone about sourcing, about keyword research. And I love, Rachel, that your people are already in the data, the nitty gritty. They already have skills that I think some of our students would love to know about. So I think they'll totally take the information and crush it.
Yes, I'm excited. Amazing. Where can we connect with you guys?
We have a show, the Rainmaker Family Show. If you're a podcast listener, definitely check that out. And then honestly, I would hit the link in the show notes. Say the link one more time for me.
rachelandgom.com/Rainmaker.
/Rainmaker. We'll put all the information there for you guys, and we can get connected and get you plugged in.